I'm remaking my childhood stuffed animals. Welcome back to Crochet Johns. Don't forget to subscribe, check out my Etsy shop, and follow me on Instagram. So growing up, I had a lot of stuffed animals on my bed to the point where there wasn't much space to sleep. They would all just kind of congregate in the corner of my bed, of my bunk bed. These were a handful of the stuffed animals that survived the years from my childhood until now. I told my parents you can't get rid of these, and so now they've been sitting in a closet in mine and Hannah's home for, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so since we got married. These 5 are the ones that I am planning to recreate in crochet. So there is this little tiger, this red bull that I think is originally actually Beanie Baby branded. Yeah, the Tie company. This fun little platypus. This red-eyed tree frog, like I mentioned in other videos. I really like amphibians and reptiles. I actually owned one of these when I was a kid. And this alligator guy. I'm gonna generally ramp up from what seemed like the simplest to the most complex. This guy would be the last one that I'm gonna work on. For the most part, I'm gonna continue using the super bulky yarn that I like to use. That's like Bernat blanket, either Bernat blanket or Bernat blanket adjacent kind of yarn. I bought a few more colors and styles the other day. A couple Bernat, a couple are the Yarn Bee brand. I'm gonna maybe mix up a little bit of using this kind of wool material with the more chunky Bernat and see how it goes. And so I'm excited to try out and see if it looks good to have certain stuffed animals that I'm recreating be in both types of yarn. Like the frog, I might do that in a nice orange wool for the feet because I have an orange that works, and I think it'll work pretty well for that. But then the rest of the body maybe more in like the Bernat green. For this video, I'm going to start with this red Beanie Baby bull. I have had this bull for as long as I can remember. I don't remember actually getting it at one point. The other ones that I had back there, a couple of them, I do remember kind of when I got them. I got them a little bit later in life. But this bull I feel like has been around forever, and I don't know if someone gave it to me as a gift, if it was something that I bought or picked out. This is where I'm going to start. Mostly red. I feel like it'll be pretty easy. I'm going to be using this red, which is a little bit darker, but I think it'll still reflect him pretty well. I think this white was originally a little bit whiter, so I'm going to be using a more white yarn for it. So let's get started on how we do it. So for this project, I'm going to use Bernat blanket yarn in this red. So for this project, I'll be using Bernat blanket yarn, number 6, super bulky. It'll do it in this race car red and this vintage white. I've got more of this, it's just on the side of the table here. I just want to show a little bit. So let's get started. So part of this project too is me realizing that I definitely had a bias for stuffed animals because I grew up with a lot of them as a kid. And I think that's why I like making them so much for my nieces and nephews now, that they get to enjoy them as kids and I get to be a part of that. So it's really fun for me. My method for making this bowl is going to be probably starting here from the nose and working out and down and along the body. I think I will add the ears and the horns and the legs and the tail after the fact. I'll sew them on together. I think it'll just look best, it'll look most symmetrical. I'm going to put some easy safety eyes in for here. Although these old stuffed animals, they have kind of a color to the eyes. They almost look like marbles where it's black in the middle, but it's got kind of this, I think he might have some more like reddish colored eyes. It's really hard to see on the camera. And then the tail has this little knot at the end, and so what I'll do is I'll probably crochet this tail extra long and then tie a knot in the work and sew it on, and that will probably be the last thing I do. So that's my plan. We'll see if we can actually execute it in crochet, but here we go. Gotta go back. It's getting too narrow for the actual face. It's really nice having this reference. I don't normally get a reference in person, a physical reference to go off of. Usually it's like a sketch or something, so this is nice to be like, nope, this is too small. good amount of the head done so far. I feel like it's a little bit taller than his is, but I feel like it's pretty close. I like it. The nose feels like it came out pretty good comparatively. Obviously the white is very different. The red is obviously a little darker and this one's kind of more of a maroon. Yeah, just gotta add the eyes, add that detail. I might add some details to the eyes, like the underlying whites, just to give it a little bit more life than this is gonna have with just the safety eyes. But yeah, I'll continue down the body and then work on all the other parts. A little ways down the body, and I couldn't tell if I really liked how it was coming out, but I flipped them over, and on the stomach, I feel like I get a better idea. I don't think the snout is quite as long as the original, but I think it's close enough. But everything else I feel like is lining up pretty well, where it's got the head shape and then it narrows and starts widening again for the body. And so I really like how this is coming out. I'm going to go a little bit wider now to get the hips. We've got like some big hips on him. And then I'll finish off the body, and then we'll do the legs separately afterwards. So. I'm really liking how it's coming out so far, especially when it's like laid over. I feel like it's matching up to the body pretty well. I'm about at the point where I'm gonna start coming back in, and I'll wrap around the butt and finish it off, and that'll be the end of the body. I'll stuff it, put eyes on it obviously too, before I close it up, but body's coming along pretty well, so let's finish it. I'm losing some daylight, so I'm going to stuff it and sew it up, finish the body, and work on the rest of it tomorrow. But I got the eyes in there, gives it a lot more life, and you can see kind of what it's supposed to be and look like in comparison to the original. So I'm happy with how it's coming out. It looks really funny because it's just the body. But once you add the ears and the horns and the legs and everything and the tail, it'll all come together well. I think it'll work. So, all right, we'll see you tomorrow. Day 2, working on the bowl. Lonnie is here. Let's get the legs done. Alright, so I already frogged it once because his front legs were coming out way too big. He was going to be real buff, but I think this is much better size now. Pretty similar to what we got going on here. So. I keep on going, gotta go a little bit wider I think as I get closer to the body. It also kind of has a curve and a slant to it. I'm not sure if I'll add that or if I'll just make it loose enough that it can kind of bend in that way, but we'll see. We'll work on it. Perfect. Trying to figure out this angle, but it is not cooperating so well. I think it's I crochet pretty tight, and so I feel like it makes things that I do stiff, where this doesn't want to have much bend to it, whereas this guy's so floppy. So I think I got the leg how I want it. It took me a little bit because I had to be a little creative, especially with how tight this guy is. Attaching the leg so it looked normal. I had to like add this extra lip on this side by just going back on the work. But I think it'll work, and I can sew it. I'm not going to stuff it too stiff so he's not light, but hopefully there's a little bit of like give to it, it's a little bit softer. But I think that's how I like it. I just have to do the mirror image of it for the other side. So I think I know how to do that, but we'll see. Got the front legs finished. I think they'll be on there somewhere like this, maybe a little bit lower. So it's kind of like that. I'm gonna work on the back legs, ears, horns, tail. We'll be good to go. Alright, so I got everything crocheted, finished up, so I can show this. I got the legs, look something like that after I sew it. Got the tail with the knot in the end. Have the ears that I'll have to crochet together because they're separate pieces right now. Not crochet, sew together. I have them come down in like a point like that. And then I've got the 2 horns that will sit something like that on top. So, but it's kind of late. So I'm gonna sew these in the morning and then we'll be done. So I've got all my pieces of the bowl here now. And I won yarn chicken this time by this much red yarn. Yarn chicken, if you're not familiar, is a phrase that crocheters use. You think you have enough yarn, you're gonna try and do a project with it. Sometimes you lose yarn chicken, you need to buy another skein of yarn. But in this case, I won it. And how much did this weigh? It doesn't even register as a weight. Let me switch it to grams. Okay, so didn't register anything in ounces, but in grams, 4 grams. For reference, this front leg of the bowl weighs 16 grams. So I won yarn chicken by 1/4 of a leg this time. So anyways, it was very close, but I had just the right amount of yarn. I might need some of this extra to sew in case I didn't leave any of these threads long enough to sew it on properly, but we're gonna sew it all together and then we'll be done. Just finished adding the details to the bowl. Here is the original one size, and here is my crochet one. So I really like how he came out. I feel like the dimensions are pretty similar. His head is a little bit longer on the original. He's got a little bit more of a snout, but I think it came out really well. It came out how I like. The color is obviously a little bit different. A little bit more bright red on this one, more of like a maroon, which I really didn't think about until I saw these colors side by side. Bernat labels this color as race car red, so I was like, this is the reddest of all reds, but this is definitely a lot brighter. With the legs, it's got a little bit more of a hip than the original, but the original had some pretty good hips. I was trying to get this rounded shape on the back legs to match well. I think I did it pretty well. I like that he lays pretty flat when he's on like a desk or a surface, just like the original one lays really flat. This one's not quite as floppy as the Beanie Baby original. He can kind of Superman on his own, but I think that's partially because of how I crochet. I crochet pretty tight, and the material just works and lives differently. This is one of 5 that I'm going to be working on. The other 4 are in the background over there: the tiger, the alligator, the frog, and the platypus. I'm really excited for anyone who's maybe watching and has kids or nieces or nephews or wants to enjoy them themselves. But these stuffed animals that I got to grow up are really special to me, and I hope they are special to someone else. So I'm going to be auctioning off each of these stuffed animals. I'll have more details of how to do that on my Instagram. So subscribe, follow here, and follow me on Instagram at CrochetJohns. And until next time, I'll see you later.